Hi, Eddie. Um, this is my critique of your profile. Firstly and foremost, I just want to say that so far yours is the most effective in terms of its communication and its clarity of all the critiques that I've given. Actually, before I even get it started, I just want to also let you know that I'm on vacation, visiting my nieces, and if a kid runs in here and you hear some screaming or something, just please forgive. But I just wanted to give you this critique really quickly. Um, you've actually intuitively or otherwise um, gotten a good grip of the whole communication in your profile. I can see that um, you figured out or you know this pretty well. So what you're doing here is what I've tried to communicate with some of the other folks. You've talked a little bit about how you're helping people here. So you're helping people get leads um, with direct response marketing, and you're also identifying who you're attracting. So this is all good stuff. This is, how I help people, who am I helping, and what am I helping them to do, right? You might find a better way uh, to communicate that, something that's a little bit more concrete. But to be honest, I give this maybe an A minus already. Um, for extra credit, you might, depending on what it is exactly you do, you might say, like maybe lead generation is the thing that your audience really wants, but maybe it would be almost like, you know, I help I help Hispanic and general market consumers. Okay, first of all, Hispanic and general market consumers. I don't know that anyone in the general market would call themselves a general market consumer. You understand? So if I'm a general market consumer, then I certainly don't identify with being called that, right? So I do not think that whoever you're talking to will identify with that, but it's a brilliant first start. Um, so, um, and again, if 95% of your customers are Hispanic, I would just start with go with the Hispanic thing because um, clearly you wanted to kind of focus on them a little bit, right? So think about who you're talking to. I like Hispanic, not so much about general market consumer. That's a little bit weird, a little bit vague. Who is that? Who, like nobody, I'm sure most people won't agree on what that is, right? So if by middle market consumer you mean stay at home mom or um, someone who makes a certain amount of money or has a certain type of job, general market consumer, do you mean blue collar? Right? What is it? This term needs to be clearer. Um, so you're saying I use direct response marketing to help Hispanics and some other kind of people get more leads, right? Now, the way you say get more leads, there might be a way to say that in a more powerful way. Like, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but I always think back to this SEO guy, and he always talks about giving server crashing traffic to his website, right? So you have that image of, you know, your web server just melting down and people calling in panic because, there's so many people coming to a website, right? So there might be an image that you can, like a one or two word phrase that might paint that similar kind of image of a lot of leads, right? Now, obviously, you don't want to make a claim that's too outlandish, um, and I'm not even gonna suggest that you go make outlandish claims that are out there and all over the place, but you can definitely um, amplify what you're saying here in a more vivid way. So, lead generation, I cannot really think of like a metaphor or an image that describes lead generation in a more powerful way just off the top of my head. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But so far, I really like this. I like what's happening here. Um, I like your image. I mean, it's neither like amazing or terrible. I think it's just solid, a solid good image. So that's great. Um, okay, I like your profile. Um, a few things that we both understand about your profile right away is, first of all, this profile is about you. I mean, it's about your reader, your audience. You're definitely thinking about who you're trying to talk to and attract, which is good. Um, and you're telling them what they're gonna receive, which again is good. Um, and then you have a nice call to action with your email. That's great. Um, let me show you. Let me talk about a few things you can do to make it better. Of course, first, um, you can take a couple of approaches here. First, you can either, as I've kind of explained with a few other people on the critique end of things, is you could open with the problem that your audience has right now, and you can talk about the problem. You could talk about the problem in terms of question, like a few rapid fire questions, like, do you have this problem? Are you having trouble getting leads in your front door? Is no one coming? Is your marketing dead? Is your, you know what I'm saying? You can ask a few questions, and you can ask them in a vivid way. Like a recent client, saying the questions I asked were, is your website as outdated as a dinosaur, as attractive as a corpse? You know, um, you see how asking questions in those kinds of metaphorical ways paint a really vivid picture, and it takes this, which is very, it's accurate, but it's not as emotional as if you start painting pictures in their minds about dinosaurs and corpses and falling off a cliff, and other stuff that I mentioned in that particular profile, right? If you look at my profile, I'm painting pictures about my sales copy breathing fire like a dragon, right? So first, you can either open with a problem. What's the problem? They can't get leads. So remind them of how painful that is. Okay? Or you could just uh, start painting the picture of how wonderful it would be to get leads. You can either open with a positive or a negative here. That's completely up to you. And so if you are open with a positive, you could I might say something like, just imagine what it would be like to have, um, you know, your phone ringing every minute of the day, um, people opting into your squeeze pages, uh, contacting your Facebook leads, or whatever. I don't know what it is you're exactly doing, but you can either paint the positive or the negative, and you just have to be very delicate and um, precise and vivid and sharpen the image in their mind of what it would look like on the day that they got more leads. So it's okay to say, I gave you more leads. However, what you want to do is paint the scenario of what getting more leads really means, right? So getting more leads is a benefit, but it's a very low quality benefit, right? Like getting more leads, that's one thing. But getting more leads means getting more people in the door, means getting more people asking questions, getting more, you know, getting more, objections to handle, I guess, and so that you can resolve them and, put money in the bank, that kind of thing. Okay. Um, you're talking about some of the results you deliver here. Um, and you say you consistently deliver this, so I would say on average, what kind of results have you gotten? Is it a 20% increase in call volumes? Like it's always good to get more up. the more specific you are, the more believable and concrete you are, and the more people are, you know, willing to really get excited about what you're talking about. Um, okay, so hair, this isn't bad, but um, you shifted the focus from what they get to what why you care almost. This is like um, okay, which isn't terrible, but if you're gonna do that, I would say really get more in touch with get more in touch with get more in touch with uh, the emotional reason why you want to talk about why you care and all that stuff. So you could say, um, you know, are you Hispanic? Is it something that you can tell a story about why you care so much for a specific audience so that you can have a little bit of, because if you're going to do this, the goal of really talking about yourself would be only to bond and make someone feel connected with you, right? Um so if you're going to go ahead and do that, you know go for it, go for it properly. Okay. um and of course, if you want to make this call to action better, put a little arrow here, and say, hey, contact me today, dial this, um, you know, you have to remember this is on LinkedIn, so if you want them to connect, you can say, hey, connect, click the blue button, right? I always tell them exactly what to do and when to do it, which is now, not to delay. You can give away something for free, which might compel them to, give them an extra incentive to connect right away. This stuff works. Just even yesterday, I've gotten a few people connecting with me just to get the audio that I give away for free. Okay, so again, this is easily the best profile so far. If you wrote it yourself, then that's great. Of course, you're a district direct response marketer, so I mean, um, uh, I completely understand where you're coming from. Oh, and another thing I completely skipped, and I'm sorry about that, is your headline. Um, so your headline, what you want to do. Remember, we were talking about pleasure or pain. So either positive or the problem. Okay, so you need a headline that stops them dead cold, and this this is mild, but you can be stronger, right? So you can use a headline that does one of three things, three ways to grab attention and stop people in the tracks, right? You can either um, get them in touch with that pain again so that they get hooked. You can either get them feeling greedy, or you can make them feel curious, or a combination of all of those. So um, right, so if you open this thing with pain, then what you want to do is say, um, remind them of the pain. So one of a recent profile I wrote, I said, I opened, and the headline was, it was, you are flushing red hot leads down the toilet, right? Now think about how painful that would be and attention grabbing for someone who is aching for good leads, right? So that's a good headline for pain. Please don't steal it. I would appreciate it if you didn't. This is just for example purposes only. um, and of course, if you're opening with a positive, then your headline could be something like, you know, um, like I use the headline, again, don't steal, please, which is something like the gold mine, the gold mine of leads hiding in your business. Now that's one I've used, and sometimes use if it's appropriate. But if you notice how the whole image of the gold mine makes it doesn't just, you're promising a positive thing here. You're you're kind of vaguely promising something positive here. But then when I say gold mine, it's not that you're promising it. It's not just a promise. It's more like there's a lot of it, and it's hiding, and it's like it awakens all these emotions that people who were around during the gold rush would have had, getting greedy, dreaming of greed, right? So it's not just positive. It's a good way to open up a positive headline is to make someone feel greedy, and of course, curious. Um, you could say something like, "How a weird," and no offense to you, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just, for the uh, purpose of this critique, you could say, "How a, middle-aged Hispanic geek uh, doubled the leads of some famous company or something like that, right? So you're promising an interesting and unusual story, right? So any of these things will do uh, to arouse the attention of your reader. So again, I love your profile so far. Really good job. Easily the best one I've seen in the lot so far. And yep, I like everything I'm seeing here pretty much. So that's it. Thanks again.